Hi everyone, my name is Abigail and I help women heal PMS and period pain in a holistic and natural way. And today I wanted to kind of share some tips, 5 tips specifically, that I wish someone had told me when I first started my period. When I started my period, I had so much shame. It was very secretive. I didn't want anyone to know. I used the American Girl My Body book. I don't know if anyone used that book. And while it gave some diagrams and it gave some indication about what it meant to be a woman, it didn't really answer any of my questions. And it kind of lacked the personal and empathetic, emotional part that I needed when I first got my period. And right, I'm in my 30s. Why am I talking about this now? I do think that how we enter into our bleeding phase of life, so how you start your period, is going to really set the stage for how you continue to bleed. So unless you consciously are looking at your relationship to your period and the kind of stories, the beliefs that you hold around it, then it's going to be continuing to affect you even if you're in your 30s. So I have done a lot of work around my period and around my body and pain and just reconnecting and getting rid of beliefs that do not serve and looking at beliefs that do serve me. And so I think that if you are a woman who is struggling with period pain, that this is really a good use of your time to just reflect on your period and what your emotions were when you first got your period, what resources were available to you, and how were you kind of invited into womanhood. So the 5 things that I wish that someone had told me when I first got my period is I wish that someone had given me the bigger kind of context in that I wish I had understood more fully what it means to be a woman, what it means to bleed, what it means to make babies. And I think that would have helped me understand the responsibility that I then had for my body and my responsibility to protect my body as well as my responsibility to my future children. So I think that zooming out and having an elder or just more context on what it means to be a woman in our culture and how we women and how we can relate to other women and just the invitation to step into a role of responsibility. Because with responsibility comes great power. And I don't think I saw my period as an empowering event. I saw it as a very disempowering event. I saw it as, kind of a hassle because I had to get tampons and pads and I had to get a purse to hide them and I had to carry my purse around and I had to, get new bras and wear certain underwear on certain days, and it just was a big inconvenience. And I felt very disempowered. I felt, why me? I felt this isn't fair, and this is just a really big inconvenience. And had I been connected to the greater vision, the greater purpose of it all, I think I would have been more excited for this opportunity and for this change and saw it more as power. The second thing I wish, I had been told is that this is a celebration and how incredible to have a bleed, how incredible that your body is healthy and vibrant and has this life-giving force, the chi. I wish I had been acknowledged by my aunties, my community in a way that felt really exciting as opposed to very shameful. I also wish that it was more culturally celebrated as opposed to shamed. And I think that this is really important because, right, I don't believe that time is linear. And so I believe that if you were shamed 10, 15, 20 years ago for your period, you can celebrate yourself now. So you can do a ritual, you can have a celebration of your period now, and that will impact and change that shame that you felt years ago. So I can't change the culture, I can change myself. And so in my journey of healing and reclaiming my power, my yoni, and healing from PMS and period pain, I have celebrated my ability to bleed, my ability to make life, and my being a woman. So the celebration part, I think, is huge if you're wanting to move on from PMS and period pain. The third thing I wish someone had told me is how sacred the yoni, the womb is, as well as my body. I don't think I even knew what sacred meant as an adolescent. So that would have maybe been hard for me to understand, but that if I had understood the sacredness of my body, never less the sacredness of sex and intimacy, but just the sacredness of me and my body, I think I would have been way more discerning with who I entertained, who I hung out with, who I allowed into my life, as well as who I chose as partners. And had I understood how sacred my body was, I think I also would have treated my body differently and not been a party girl, not like medicated with over-the-counter pain pills when I was bleeding. I think I would have treated my body very differently, specifically during my bleeding times, and just nourished myself more if I had seen myself as sacred. The fourth thing that I wish I had known is the wisdom of the womb as well as the cycle of the womb. So I learned about the ovaries and the anatomy of the body, but that didn't really help me put things into my life. There was no practical application of that. And so understanding the cycle and understanding that there is going to be a season that I would move through every single month, I think would have been really helpful for me so that I could have, again, a better understanding of the greater context. So understanding that I would start my cycle in a winter phase and want to be more secluded, more inward, more nourished and cozy. And then I would move into a spring phase, which would then lead to a summer, which would then go into fall, and then the cycle would start itself over again. I literally had no idea. I was so disconnected, and I just was like, okay, it's the time of the month where I shove cotton up inside of me. It was so disconnected. And so having the greater picture and the wisdom of the womb of this process and how it's going to do these things without you needing to do anything, I think would have helped me to trust my body a little bit more and be more present with the process of bleeding. And then the fifth thing I wish someone had told me about getting a period is that I do think that when you are a woman in our society, then there can be things and events that happen that you experience. And while they are not your fault, I think it is important to know that it is your job to alchemize it, to heal it, to move through it. And I specifically am talking about this because I know so many women have experienced sexual trauma and have experienced things that have left them more disconnected to their womb because of the trauma they've experienced. And I think going into that knowing that it's not your fault and you did nothing wrong, and also like holding compassion with also the understanding that it is your job to move through it. It is your job to look at it and heal it so that you can alchemize it and ultimately come back into your power, come back into your sovereignty, I think is a really beautiful frame to just have for life. But I'm saying this here because I do know that so many women do experience sexual trauma, and that piece of it is your job to heal it, I think can help you to move through it quicker and not get stuck in the guilt, in the shame, in the blame, and in the victimhood. Because ultimately what has happened and what you've experienced is in the past, and the only power you have is what is in the present. So taking full responsibility of healing it, not taking full responsibility for the experience, but taking full responsibility of healing it and acknowledging it will help you to then get out of the past and create a future that you love. So I know this was a little bit of a different topic today, but again, I'm sharing all of these with you because time is not linear. So that if you have a kind of tumultuous relationship with your period or your yoni, or you felt a lot of shame when you got your period as an adolescent, you can do these things for yourself now. You can sit down and reflect on all of these 5 tips that I just went through with you, and you can celebrate yourself now. You can talk to yourself about responsibility. You can start treating your body like it's sacred. You can connect to your cycle and learn about your cycle, because everyone's body is going to have a little bit of a nuance with their own individual cycle. And then you can also take full ownership and treat it like your job to clear out any trauma or any stuck energy that is in your womb. So thank you so much for being here today. Please like and subscribe, and let me know what you want more support with. I read all the comments, and I really am here to help you heal PMS and period pain. Thank you.